moment of silence.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. My God, my God, my
The streets of New York embraced her. Magazine covers loved her. She endorsed some of the world's biggest brands. She was a teenager who was discovered right here on the streets of Accra. Now, she's a woman the world of fashion has come to love. Belinda Badu is back home.
BBMSA is about discovering new talent and preparing them for the international markets. So ladies, are you guys ready? Yeah! All right, let's do this!
Belinda Badu Model Search Africa at 4 p.m. right here on GHone TV.
Bambinita.
It's the Bambini Show, the #1 children's program in GH.
We should aim at what we have, and then when we set a goal, we should be able to accomplish it.
I had confidence in myself. I knew I could do it, and first time I did it.
Is the highest building in the world.
Where children have fun, learn, explore their hidden potentials, socialize, and ultimately acquire and develop their skills and knowledge.
I rap for the dimes, I rap for the money, I rap for the girls, and I rap for my mama. You know
we make learning fun by discussing social issues.
You can ask your friend or your teacher or your parent to help you learn.
We also tease your brain with spelling bee, picking segment where we make learning fun through games and sports activities, identifying talents in children. And our favorite celebrities are not left out as they share their childhood experiences with the children.
Once you figure it out or you learn it, that's it. Nothing can stop you.
Remember to always...
That's your opinion, Akwesi. Thanks for the compliment.
My name is Akwesi Safo Kantanka. Join me right here at Fiesta Residences Boutique Hotel and Apartments as I ask the tough questions.
Change managers with Akwesi, women to watch. A compelling conversation with women who are defining the future. Sponsored by
EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Two guests, one host, forming a panel of 3 lawyers. Each week, discussing relevant legal topics.
As soon as the court grants the adoption order, that child is no longer the child of the natural parent.
There isn't a single text in our law books which would come close to forcing a kid in his mature age to take care of his parents.
The gossips. Yeah. You've heard it's baseless. You move on from house to house discussing it. They can sue you for defamation.
If you go to office and you don't work, when is the end of the month? Feel shy. Don't go to the bank, please.
Some people actually sign prenups at the wedding ceremony. Actually, they sign it first and then they sign the certificate. What is this?
Law Express. Be empowered.
Dream big. Believe. Self-love. Inspiring. Empowering.
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 Empowering. These are the words used to influence the lives of young girls and women all across the world. As women, we all have stories that can change the lives of others. Sometimes we just need that one platform to share it. Sincerely V bridges the gap between generations as I engage women from different walks of life whose stories will undoubtedly inspire you in one way or another. Join me, Vanessa Jan, on Sincerely V, this and every Saturday at 11 a.m. only on GH1 TV. Sincerely V, real women, real voices.
I mean, there are a lot of people who will become hypocritical about sex because it's been made to look like a dirty thing.
I'm very traditional about things like that.
If you're using capital punishment as a deterrent to stop criminals from doing bad things, it won't stop.
It's part of an act. There's some things that we wear for performance sake, but it's not necessarily that every day we're wearing hot pants walking up and down.
Bottom line is, I think black people still need to be visible. That's the most important thing.
Indecent exposure is a crime, and that's why, depending on your upbringing, there's some things that you will never actually depart from if it's not a part of you.
It sounds weird, it's unthinkable, but I've become fond of idiots.
Idiots are nuisance and they are very annoying.
I'm still baffled about what you saw. Was you really the donkey's ghost?
Senna is your bullseye. If you want her, you have to hit with all you have.
Why the hell would you think Donkey is dead?
I didn't know you hate him that much to wish him dead.
As I talk to you right now, I am on my knees. Please, help me learn the trade of an idiot. I can't start a new relationship now.
You can't start a new relationship because you are comfortable being humiliated and treated like a boy instead of a man.
And I conclude with the power of Jesus to break you from that spell.
It was two beautiful ladies fighting over a donkey. I felt so proud. Sirs, I'm eager to take you to the psychiatric hospital should you dump me for him.
So you think there's a problem with my mind?
Ask yourself, what would you do if I go on vacation and come back with deep thought and affection for an idiot lady who keeps dominating my life?
The door is ajar and it's an invitation for anyone to walk in.
I am the president of the Republic, duly elected and sworn in. I declare my nephew, Black Boy, the Minister of Foreign.
A moment of silence.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us.
My God!
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Newsroom. We are live from our studios here at the Platinum Heights at Rage. My name is Abena, Owusu, Nyamekye. Coming up in the headlines. President Robert Mugabe describes President Akufo-Addo as the new Kwame Nkrumah of Africa. We'll take you live to Breman in the Ashanti region to tell you the story of how a woman, her two children, and lover were burnt to death by a jealous boyfriend. In business, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has debunked claims that his administration will compete with the private sector for loanable funds. And later in sports with Dennis Mapuri, Ghana suffers second defeat in Hockey World League to Egypt. And on the international front, UN chief visits Somalia to focus on the famine that has ravaged that country. You're welcome to the program. Now, President Mugabe, the president of Zimbabwe, has been addressing the media here in Accra. We were live at that hotel where the press conference took place. But my colleague Wilberforce Asari, he reports for us from the presidency. He was at the press briefing and joins me in the studio. Well, good to have you. So what has President Mugabe been saying?
Well, so Abena, essentially, President Robert Mugabe took time to rehearse to the Ghanaian public his experiences when he spent a bit of time here in our jurisdiction during his younger years. How that he went to school at Achimota School, taught in some secondary schools. He even told us about some cars that he bought when he was here in Ghana. Beyond his time spent in Ghana, he took time to also talk about some of the experiences he saw while he was at the ceremony that just ended yesterday's Sixth March Parade. He talked about the fact that the president's speech was superb and that he has requested for a copy of the speech himself. Beyond that, he went ahead to talk about the fact that the president can be likened to the new Kwame Nkrumah of Africa.
Indeed.
And went ahead to say several other things about his thoughts about development in Africa, to the extent that he thinks people should not make going to Yale University or Oxford University the real deal. We should be able to develop institutions in Africa where we can be proud of, just as the people in Europe and other places are proud of their institutions.
Well, yesterday at the Independence Square, when his name was mentioned, you could hear the crowd. He's the most popular president on the continent. Let's talk about the press conference. Aside the issues surrounding President Akufo-Addo's tenure and development in Africa, what exactly is he seeking to achieve with this particular one in Ghana?
Well, so this particular press conference was, first of all, in his own words, to interact with the people of Ghana and to communicate to us, for us to know that he really identifies with the Ghanaian community, because he feels that he's a member of the Ghanaian community to the extent that he married a Ghanaian. And so he thinks that it was important that he comes to spend our 60th anniversary with us. He also sought to communicate through the press conference that he held this morning that even though he is so much aged, he thinks that the African community or the African nations need presidents who are of age, not presidents who are young. It's one of the things that he said. Most of the people who were at the press conference, including his own people who came with him, burst out into laughter when he said that. He communicated articulately, but you would notice that he is very much grown, and so his language is not coherent. The voice is not so consistent as it will be for somebody who is much younger.
Well, we can now take a listen and watch excerpts of that press briefing by President Robert Mugabe now.
Shall we have another Nkrumah? Will Ghana give us another Nkrumah? I was impressed, very highly impressed yesterday by the speech made by the president. I'm sure you all were. You know the history. Even what happened as Nkrumah went to college, to school, whether it was in London or America, the revolutionary friends and organizations that he joined and which he made him what he was. It was all recited yesterday. And I wondered, I say to myself, do the Ghanaians still remember all this?
All right, so you had the Zimbabwean president, Robert Mugabe, just a brief clip of his press briefing earlier today. But Wilberforce, here in Ghana, there's been the Mugabe quotes. There are reports world over about his health. Were the media allowed to ask questions, and did any of these come about?
Well, so we're allowed to ask 2 questions, and indeed it was very controlled because the press attaché to the president didn't want to create any controversy. He wanted to go back to Zimbabwe in peace. And so there were only 2 questions that were allowed. Indeed, on the lighter side, while he was departing, there was that question asked whether he was aware of the quotes that have been attributed to him here in Ghana. And his comment was simply just that, I know. And then he just left with his security detail because he was going straight to the airport en route back to Zimbabwe. All right, thank you very much. And that's Wilberforce Asari. He is our presidential affairs correspondent, bringing us all those details and the highlights of what transpired at the press briefing by Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe here in Ghana. And we understand he's en route to the airport to go back to his country. Let's do some other stories now right here on GH1 Newsroom. Residents of Abena are calling on government to close down the Marwako restaurant in their neighborhood following reports that a Ghanaian female worker was abused at the facility. These residents say they will end the constant abuse meted out to Ghanaians by their foreign employers and protect their human rights.
Contrary to media reports that the Abena branch of Marwako restaurant was under lock and key and under heavy police protection, the place is still in operation. Some residents the news team spoke with appealed to government to intervene in the situation to protect the rights of the Ghanaian worker.
This thing has been going on all over the places, not only Marwako. Recently we heard also about Owusu, what happened over there. One of their cooks, and I think, was also punished in the same way, and it's not good. It seems like we have our own country in which our leaders cannot even help us when it comes to this incident like this.
This is not the first time we are hearing this. When you go to not industrial companies, it's happening there. And I think this is the time the authorities need to come and rescue Ghanaian youth who are working with these Lebanese companies.
Although officials at the Marwako restaurant have issued a statement apologizing for the misdemeanor of his supervisor at the Abena branch and subsequently pledging the victim their full support, residents say the company must still face the full rigors of the law. Attempt to get the Abena branch manager of Marwako to speak to the news team proved unsuccessful.
So we are staying a while longer on the story. We can now speak to the PRO for the Greater Accra Regional Police Command, ASP Ifya Tenge. Good morning. Thank you for joining us, madam. Tell us, how far has the police gone with investigations into this incident?
Yes, thank you very much, and good afternoon to your viewers. Yes, this morning, the suspects in the case, together with the victim, that is a lady who was allegedly abused at his workplace, all came to the regional commander upon the regional commander's invitation. So right away, the regional commander has directed that the case goes to court. So they all went to court this morning. Unfortunately, the court does not set. So we are preparing to go tomorrow morning.
And so as it stands now, the case is being taken to court. But we heard there was a letter from the Marwako authorities to the young lady, which we understand she has decided not to accept.
Yes, that one is irrelevant in this case. If there's a letter to the lady apologizing, fair enough, but that does not stop the police in any way stopping our investigations and also proceeding to court. For that one, it doesn't matter here at all.
We visited Abena, where the restaurant is located, and indeed some of the residents there, they want the facility moved from that area. Is the police looking at any protection for the workers there? Because there's also a campaign on social media for people to boycott the Marwako restaurant.
Yes, regarding that incident, we actually had a couple of, I think about 3 gentlemen who went to the Abena branch, that is on Saturday, and they wanted to cause some mayhem. So the police was called, and immediately we had to go and also control the situation there. We would appeal to members of the public that this is an issue that has come to us. We are investigating the case, and whatever the investigations will point out, we would ensure that we take this matter to court. So they should exercise restraint. Going to cause any form of disorderliness or lawlessness will not help all of us. What we have sought to do is to seek justice for this lady who was allegedly assaulted. So going there, asking that we all boycott their products and what have you, we may have our own opinions, yes, but that has not stopped the police and also going to seek justice. So I will urge and caution and also advise all of us that we should at least exercise restraint and ensure that the police do everything that it has to do within every legitimate way to ensure that justice is served. As I indicated this morning, we were caught this morning together with the suspect, and unfortunately we realized that it is not safe today. So we have been asked to come tomorrow, which of course we are going to do. So whatever that comes out of the court, we would share it with the public. It's even a public hearing, so everybody can even go and also listen to it. So we'll ask and appeal to members of the public that the way the issue has touched them, that is the same way we are also attaching that sort of importance to this issue. So we should all try and exercise a little bit of restraint for justice to be served at the long run.
We are grateful for your time with us, Madam. ASP Efiatenge is the PRO for the Greater Accra Regional Police Command. Let's head for the Ashanti region. A woman, her 2 children and lover were burnt beyond recognition at Breman Konchoma in the Swami constituency after they were allegedly locked in and set on fire by the woman's former lover. The charred bodies of Ifia, her 2 children, Ajoa 17 and Junior 8, and the yet-to-be-identified lover have been deposited at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital, while the suspect, identified only as Luke, is on the run.
Occupants of about 18 adjoining rooms in the area popularly called Fafraha Lane were also rendered homeless as their wooden structures were razed. A 5th victim, identified as Atule, suffered burns after the suspect allegedly poured petrol on her face and lit a fire for attempting to go to the aid of those who died. According to residents, Luke, for several years, subjected Ifia to maltreatment and battery and had been threatening to kill her and her new lover. She said the people in the area, some of whom had their rooms destroyed, know the suspect but were unwilling to give him up for fear of being called names back home in the northern Ghana, where they come from.
Isaac Bediako, our reporter in the Ashanti region, is on standby now to tell us the situation in the area currently. Isaac, good to have you. Tell us, how has the residents been reacting to this incident since it happened?
Yes, Abena, since the news broke yesterday dawn, the residents in the Breman Konchoma community are also doing their bit to support the police to trace the whereabouts of the suspect that they suspected caused this fire outbreak. Quite apart from that, they've also given the police some reasonable leads that will help them to arrest the suspect. So far, the police command, the Swami Divisional Police Command and the Suntreso Police District Command and Breman District Police Command have also begun investigations into the matter, and they've deployed a lot of police CID personnel to go to the community to gather enough information about the suspect so that they will be able to arrest him. Quite apart from that, I also do know that they've also sent some men to the hometown of the suspect so that if he ran to the community, they will be able to arrest him. So at the moment, there's an ongoing meeting between the police chiefs in the Swami Divisional Command about the matter.
And so the residents, those who were also affected by this fire, how are they putting up?
Abena, they are very terrible situation, because some of them told me that they don't even have a place to sleep. Some are even sleeping in church buildings. So that is the situation right now. And some wish to go back to their home region, but they don't have money to even pay for their transportation. And so that is why they are still here in Kumasi. So they are calling for individual support to evacuate them from Kumasi to the northern region. They said NADMO were there yesterday to register them, but help has not yet reached them. So they are also waiting for government intervention for them to move to a different location to go and settle there. So that is the situation now. They are stranded, and even what they will eat is a problem for them.
And Isaac, have we heard from the officials of NADMO as to why help is yet to reach these affected persons?
Well, when I spoke to Mr. Aninkra Asie, the Ashanti Regional boss of the NADMO, he said yes, they've taken records of the victims and they forwarded it to Accra. So very soon they will get some kind of relief items to come and support them. So I don't know whether the items will come today or tomorrow, but as it stands now, the people have nothing to even lay their head on. And most of them are also nursing mothers, nursing kids. So that is the situation right now, the Breman Conchuma, where over 100 people are stranded.
Briefly describe to us the area in which this incident happened in Breman and Conchuma. How is the area like, and the demarcation where these persons are, who most of them, you tell us, are from up north?
Yes, Abena is an estate where they have only one plot, and on that one plot they have 15 wooden structures housing the people from the northern region, and in each room at least have about 6 or 7 people living in those rooms. So it's more like a slum community that they were living in, then until this fire disaster burnt everything that they have there. So it's a town that has already been developed, but then it has only one plot where they have those 15 wooden structures on, and that is where they were living. And so it's more like a slum community for the people from the northern region. So that is the situation, but it's only 2 people that own 2 structures there, and it was for couples. So they were living there with their family until this disaster struck them.
Thank you very much. Isaac Bediakon is our reporter in the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi. You're watching GH1 Newsroom. Let's take a look at our headlines. President Robert Mugabe describes President Nana Akufo-Addo as the new Kwame Nkrumah of Africa. A while ago, we took you to the Ashanti region and brought you the story of a woman and her 2 children and lover who were burnt to death by a jealous ex-boyfriend. Later in business, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has debunked claims that his administration will compete with private sector for loanable funds. And when Dennis Mapuri joins us with sports, Ghana suffers second defeat in Hockey World League to Egypt. Bring you some international news, where UN chief visits Somalia to focus on the famine that has ravaged that country. My name is Abena Owusu Nyamekye. Let's move on to the northern region now and take you specifically to Bimbilla. And we are bringing you some updates on that clashes in that area. There has been some clashes in the Bimbilla township. And it appears that the protracted Bimbilla chieftaincy dispute is going to drag on with no end in sight, even as residents continue to keep hope alive for a supreme ruling to bring finality to the matter. This is because both factions have vowed not to accept the verdict of the Supreme Court if it does not inure to their favor. In the following report, GH1 News' Ridwan Karim Dini Usman tells a tale of how once a vibrant town now chokes under heavy weight of insecurity.
Bimbilla is about 4.5 hours drive from the northern regional capital, Tamale. The journey certainly a long, bumpy and dusty one, owing to the deplorable nature of the Eastern Corridor Road. So, we arrive in Bimbilla, the town that has been the scene of many deadly clashes. One that perhaps has defied every attempt at initiating a dialogue for an amicable resolution is the chieftaincy dispute between two factions of the same gate, the Gbomayili Gate. In Bimbilla, the skin is rotated between two gates, the Gbanyili and the Gbomayili Royal Gates. The Gbanyili Royal Gate was in charge until the death of the then Bimbilla chief, Na Abaraka, in 1999. Since then, the misunderstanding between the Nakpana and the Dasana families from the same Gbomayili Royal Gate has left Bimbilla without a chief.
In 2014, the overlord was murdered. That is my father we are talking of. In 2015, the issue about the butchers, we were attacked again. This particular incident again, we were attacked 3 times.
Those people who are fake, excuse me to say, those who claim they are chiefs, but they are fake chiefs, they are the people who are doing it because of their selfish interests. You see, the issue you people fail to understand is it's about our tradition. People trying to write new tradition, new culture for the area. And it's not only the late chief's family or the gate, but Nanumbes in general are saying that no, they won't allow their tradition or their culture to be rewritten.
And this evening, we'll bring you a full report on the situation in Bimbilla on News Tonight. This is GH1 Newsroom. My name is Abena Owusu Nyamekye. We take a break here. We'll be back shortly.
Two guests, one host, forming a panel of 3 lawyers. Each week, discussing relevant legal topics.
As soon as the court grants the adoption order, that child is no longer the child of the natural parent.
There isn't a single text in our law books which would come close to forcing a kid in his mature age to take care of his parents.
The gossips. Yeah. You've heard it's baseless. You move on from house to house discussing it. They can sue you for defamation.
If you go to office and you don't work, when is the end of the month? Feel shy. Don't go to the bank, please.
Some people actually sign prenups at the wedding ceremony. Actually, they sign it first and then they sign the certificate. What is this?
Law Express. Be empowered.
You are welcome back to GH1 Newsroom. Now, Parliament has started the debate in the 2017 Budget and Economic Statement presented by Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Members from both the majority and minority sides are sharply divided over portions of the budget statements presented by the Finance Minister. Our parliamentary correspondent, Ibrahim Al-Hassan, joins us on the phone lines now to tell us what is happening in the House of Legislature. Ibrahim, good to have you. Good afternoon. Tell us about the debate so far.
Well, Abena, I can tell you that the debate has been moved to tomorrow. So the debate on the 2017 budget presented to Parliament by the Finance Minister, Akeno Fuyata, will officially begin tomorrow. But aside that, statements have been made on the floor of Parliament. One other issue that was gathered has got to do with the 5-member ad hoc committee that was constituted to investigate the corruption allegations against Parliament and then the appointment committee of Parliament, as well as Abuatega Kunde, the Energy Minister. The Speaker, when the committee was being constituted, gave the committee 1 month, and that is not more than 4 weeks, for them to do their investigations and then submit their report. We can confirm that that time has elapsed. The committee's work is not done. So what will happen is that the committee will likely come back to Parliament to ask for more time for it to conclude its investigation and subsequently make its report available. So earlier I mentioned that there were statements on the floor of Parliament. Yes, one are coming from Subin MP, that is using Boate MP, who touched on the disturbances at KTI. Now, if you remember, there were clashes between the police on one hand and the students of the Kumasi Technical Institute a week back, which resulted in some injuries on both sides, talking about the students and then the police. The MP is calling for a thorough investigation into that incident, indicating that he wouldn't take sides, but he will want a thorough investigation done by the Criminal Investigation Department, and then the reports are made public as well. Aside that statement, Krotekole lawmaker Dr. Zenato Rollins, he's also been talking about the flooding, the perennial flooding that the city of Accra has always been grappling with. And then their constituency, which is no exception, basically. He actually narrates about an incident which happened 10 days ago during a downpour when a nursing mother with her baby strapped at her back drowned, leaving behind a 9-month-old baby. A sad incident, of course, he relates, and uses that to call for an attitudinal team as far as waste disposal is concerned. He's also asking on the city authorities to roll out measures to ensure that at least that ritual is curtailed, just as the rains are with us. The other statements on traditional medicines and whatever. So today, basically, Parliament will be dealing with statements. But then tomorrow, the debate on the Finance Minister's budget statement will begin. Abena.
Ibrahim, just a quick one on the 5-member committee probing the bribery allegations. We know that the other sittings, apart from the one we saw on television, was in camera. Are we able to tell the amount of work that has been done? How complete is their work, or it's just there's more to be done?
Well, there is more to be done, according to, I've spoken to a member of the committee, off record, of course, who actually revealed to me that the last time, of course, we all witnessed what happened during the public sitting when a Northtown lawmaker and former Deputy Education Minister, Okujiza Blakwa, appeared and wanted to touch on the main matter. But of course, in the wisdom of the committee, they were pressed for time and that they were not going to allow him make an oral submission. They subsequently asked him to present a memoranda if he feels so strongly that his input must be factored into consideration. So aside that, the committee sat behind closed doors. I can speak for one that I know. But then again, from what the member of the committee told me, that is inconclusive as far as their work is concerned. We're not, however, aware as to whether they will invite more witnesses behind closed door, in camera, or it's just the putting together of a report that is delayed. But we know for a fact that the time given them has elapsed and their report is not ready. Yesterday, we got in touch with the Public Affairs Director Acting, Kate Addo of Parliament, who mentioned that we can only speak to the document once it's submitted to her, indicating that as we speak, the report of the committee is not ready. Abena.
All right, thank you very much. Ibrahim Al-Hassan is our parliamentary correspondent. Let's move on and do some other stories here and talk about the Ghana 60 celebrations. Well, 60 years of freedom, and Ghanaians across the country. Yesterday marked the 60th anniversary of the nation's independence from British colonial rule. Addressing the nation at the Black Star Square, President Akufo-Addo said after 60 years of independence, Ghanaian leaders had run out of excuses in making lives better for the masses. He urged Ghanaians to rise above ethnic interest and work hard with discipline and creativity to transform the country.
"60 years of liberty at this same venue. The nation's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, declared Ghana's independence. 6 decades on, Ghanaians from all walks of life converged at the Black Star Square to commemorate the most important day on Ghana's calendar. Activities for the celebration kicked off with the lighting of the perpetual flame, symbolizing rekindling the spirit of nationalism, and the Ghana 60 years on relay torch. The president passed on the relay torch to celebrated Ghanaian boxer Azuma Nelson. The torch will travel to all 10 regions of the country. Highlights of the event included the splendor of magnificent cultural display from diverse ethnic groups and a peek into Ghana's military might. For some Ghanaians, this period in the nation's history must signify a turnaround in their lives. These sentiments were echoed by the president.
60 years after those heavy days, the mass of our people are still poor. After 60 years, we have run out of excuses, and it is time to set Ghana to rights and get our country to where it should be. The challenge before us is to build our economy and generate a prosperous, progress, and dignified life for the mass of our people.
Several dignitaries, including Ghana's 3 living ex-presidents, Zimbabwe's long-serving leader, Robert Mugabe, graced the occasion. Ghana, 60 years on, will be celebrated throughout the year under the theme Mobilizing for Ghana's Future.
Meanwhile, ex-President Kufuor says Ghanaians have every reason to celebrate the country's 60th anniversary with pride. He spoke to Felix Akonyam on the sidelines of the Ghana's 60th independence anniversary celebration at the Black Star Square here in Accra.
We should all thank the great God for making it so wonderful for all of us. We must hope. Ghana is rising, truly rising, and we must all hope for the better.
Is there much to celebrate for?
A lot. There's a lot to celebrate for life. Ghana is alive.
Yeah, so that was former President Kufuor. Now, as the country marks the 60th anniversary, many are looking forward to greater achievements. Some children in Cape Coast have also shared interesting thoughts on what they expect from Ghanaian leaders and how they want Ghana to be after 60 years of independence.
I want to see that people are free and happy.
Do you think people are not free and happy now?
No. I want Ghana to be happy. That's what I want.
I expect them to move Ghana as we all expect. I want them to make Ghana a better place. Improving on our infrastructures, make sure the economic sector is being developed, and then do things that will attract investors into the countries.
I want Ghana to be peace country and develop and to become a big country. That's what I want Ghana to become.
Expecting a very great change, as in especially the sanitary sector, then the health sector especially. I think more can be done to improve our health facilities, especially with the devaluation of our city. It's the rate at which it's falling is very bad. So something should be done about that.
I expect those who do politics to stop doing politics, because if they do politics, the country will not develop well.
They should stop doing politics?
Yes.
So you don't want Ghana to have any politician at all?
Yes.
Why?
Because if they do politics, they fight, and the country cannot develop well. So I want them to stop doing politics, and they have to help one another.
Well, interesting views from the children in Cape Coast. Now, President Akufo-Addo has cut short for the construction of a national cathedral to mark the 60th anniversary of the country. The cathedral would serve as a national place of prayer and worship, and also for the holding of important religious ceremonies.
Some notable members of the clergy who were present at the ceremony include Archbishop Charles Palmer Bako, Pastor Mensa Otebel, Nicholas Duncan Williams, Reverend Victor Kusi, past moderator of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, Professor Emmanuel Mate, current moderator of the Presby Church, Professor Cephas Na Omenyo, and several others.
The Lord is appointed for us.
Speaking at the short ceremony, President Akufo-Addo was confident that the cathedral will be completed very soon and serve its planned purpose.
I believed for a very long time that there was a missing link in our national architecture, and that is, we did not have a national cathedral, interdenominational in nature, where all Christians would gather on formal occasions of the state. Anniversaries like today, the inauguration of presidents, the death of presidents, other national occasions, and in the solemnity of a cathedral, give thanks to the Almighty.
Details of the source of funding for the project, its commencement date and completion is not immediately known.
Let's do some business stories now. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has debunked claims that his administration will compete with the private sector for loanable funds.
Critics feared that government scrapping of taxes could leave it in dire need of funds. It is believed that the government may tend to borrowing from the domestic market to fund its projects, in effect competing with the private sector. But Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, speaking to GHone Business after the anniversary parade, said government has no plans of crowding out the private sector in the loan market.
We are private sector oriented government, so there's no way we would do anything that hampers the growth and expansion of the private sector. In cutting those taxes, it's a loss of maybe close to 1 billion cedis. But we think we can make it up with other things, but then in the same time, we got more stability, and then the private sector is free to operate. So this is a pro-private sector, very pro-Ghanaian budget, and we are pleased with it.
You're still watching GH1 Newsroom. Time now for some sports news, and Dennis Mapuri has joined me in the studio. Good afternoon, Dennis.
Good afternoon, Abena. I'm not wearing a smile this afternoon because I'm not exactly happy about the turnout at the Hockey World League, and that's what we'll be talking about. Hockey is in the air this afternoon because I've been tracking Ghana's performance from last Saturday, and Ghana's male hockey team has suffered its second defeat at the ongoing Hockey World League Round 2 in Bangladesh. Well, the Black Sticks, as they are known today, lost 4-2 on penalties to Egypt after a hard-fought 1-0 draw in regulation time.
Egypt opened the scoring against Ghana in the 23rd minute through Mahmoud Mamdou before the Black Sticks found the equalizer in the 34th minute through Johnny Botio. The game was forced into the penalty shootout where Ghana lost 4-2. Damali Luke and Abil Charles failed to convert their shootout while Michael Baden and Ernest Opoku scored. Ghana lost to China 7-3 in the opening Group B match on Saturday before winning 5-4 against Sri Lanka on Sunday at the Hockey World League.
So with that disappointment, we'll go on the phone line now and speak to a member of the technical committee of the Ghana Hockey Association, Edmond Zanko. He's joined me now. Thanks so much for your time, Coach. First off, you've been following the campaign of Ghana at the World Hockey League Round 2. Tell me, what do you think has contributed to the failure of this team to impress at the competition?
As a matter of fact, it's not over for the Black Teams yet. What we are seeing now is the group matches. The format of this tournament is said that after the group matches, all the teams will cross to the other group to play 3 other teams in the group in the quarter, semi, and then the finals. So for now, it's not over at all. This is just the basis to let them build points and then make sure that they do well in the ranking. Now they'll be playing the quarterfinals in any of the teams according to the pairings in the other games. So it's not over at all. Unfortunately, we don't have enough facilities. And then I think that our training was not enough for the boys.
And with that particular issue you just pointed to, which is the training not being adequate enough for this event, do you think that there's still hope that Ghana can impress in the quarterfinal stages as we go into play against tougher opposition after crossing on from the pool stage?
I'm sure they will do well, because if you look at all the teams, Ghana has 2 teams behind us in terms of the ranking. We are 5th. According to the teams playing, by the teams playing, we are 5th. So there are 3 other teams behind us. So we are very hopeful that we may not be the, we will not come top, or we may not win the competition, but definitely we will do well and then improve our record on the ranking, world ranking.
On that note, I'll thank you so much, Edmund Zanko. He's a coach at the Ghana Hockey Association, a member of the technical committee, though. And to some news that just came in, FIFA has cleared the Ghana Football Association's president, Kwesi Nyamekye, to contest for the World Football Governing Body's upcoming Executive Council election scheduled for March 16 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Nyamekye will be contesting 9 other football administrators as he seeks to retain his slot on the FIFA Executive Council. Talk about some other football news, because Hearts of Oak board member Frank Nelson in Wokolo has told GHone Sports that the Phobian club has no plans of sacking the new coach Frank Natal, even if he's unable to win the Ghana Premier League title this season. Pressure is mounting on the Scottish trainer after his 2-0 loss with to Aduana Stars in Doma on Sunday. And Hearts, don't forget, has not won a league title here in Ghana since 2008.
No, I don't think that would be a good reason for us. It doesn't mean that not winning the league means he has to leave. No, I don't think that's all. I'm saying that I need a coach who will give us that continuity, give us a base, give us a coach who will give us the system that we can say this is the system across the world. Then we look at it. I mean, if he wins the league for this season, we'll appreciate it. If he wins the FA, we'll appreciate it. We want trophies. Our supporters want trophies, because it's been long we've seen that in the Secretariat of Accra. So but again, I'm not saying it's not a do or die affair, because we need to have a relationship with him. He just came in. It's not even up to 1 month. So let's give him the time and see what the season brings. But I believe he has the ability, and if we give him the support, he will deliver.
Frank Nelson in Wokolo is a board member at Accra Hearts of Oak. So from hockey to football, and now let's do some boxing before we wrap up on Sports Brief this afternoon, because former world heavyweight champion Tyson Fury has taken to Twitter to announce that he's preparing to make a comeback against an unnamed opponent in May, even though he's under a provisional suspension from the sport. Fury is also facing an anti-doping tribunal, though he has no date set.
In his latest tweet, Tyson Fury stated his return date was going to be on May 13, but added he's yet to find an opponent for the much-anticipated bout. The 28-year-old has not fought since beating Ukrainian Vladimir Klitschko to become world champion in November 2015, subsequently pulling out of a rematch twice. Tyson Fury vacated his WBO and WBA belts last year, revealing he was seeking medical help after telling Rolling Stone magazine he had taken cocaine to help his depression.
Tyson Fury getting ready to go back into the ring. Maybe Abena or Nyamekye will consider becoming the opponent if the doping tribunal. You've seen him, right? You saw him in that shot, yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very scary.
He's fine, though.
No, he will just lift you and throw you away. It's as simple as that.
He's fine. I'll just admire that.
Well, that's it for Sports Brief.
Thank you very much, Dennis. We can now go for some international news.
Starting off in Somalia, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has arrived in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, for talks with new Somali President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo Mohamed, expected to focus on efforts to prevent famine and improve security. Mr. Guterres is meeting Mr. Mohamed in the highly secured airport zone. During his flight, Mr. Guterres was quoted saying the combination of conflict, drought, climate change, diseases and cholera is a nightmare. It's essentially a visit of solidarity with Somalia. He said, "We are trying to put in place a response mechanism for trying to prevent the worst." Mr. Guterres said the world must act now to fight famine in Somalia. Moving on to the United States, U.S. House Republicans have unveiled a long-awaited plan to replace the signature healthcare law of former U.S. President Barack Obama. The plan is expected to cover fewer people than those who gained insurance under Mr. Obama. The proposal unveiled on Monday would preserve some popular elements of the existing law, including allowing young people to remain on their parents' insurance plans until the age of 26. Democrats immediately criticized the plan, saying it would drive up the costs of health care. The Affordable Care Act, known as Obamacare, helped 20 million previously uninsured Americans get health insurance. Reports say President Donald Trump looks forward to working with the Congress to repeal and replace the law.
And it's obvious U.S. President Donald Trump will stay in the news for a very long time. This is GHone Newsroom. Let's take a second look at our headlines. President Robert Mugabe describes President Akufo-Addo as the new Kwame Nkrumah of Africa. We brought you some news from Bremen in the Ashanti region, where a woman, her children and lover were burned to death by a jealous ex-boyfriend. Ken Oforiatta, the finance minister, has debunked claims that his administration will compete with the private sector for loanable funds. That was in business. And in sports, Ghana suffers second defeat in Hockey World League to Egypt. On the international front, UN chief visits Somalia to focus on the famine that has ravaged that country. I'm glad you could stay with us today on GHone Newsroom. My name is Abena Owusu. Nyamekye. Thanks so much for watching.